You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome, friends. If you feel like the digital marketing landscape is changing so fast that if you look away for a second, you might miss, I don't know, a whole paradigm shift. You're not wrong.
Not at all. It feels less like a gentle shift and more like a tectonic plate collision.
Exactly. Especially for founders just trying to find some growth and visibility. So today, we're trying to cut through that. We've been digging into the latest strategies and platform updates to give you a shortcut to being well-informed.
Right. And the goal here is to look past just simple optimization. I think for founders, the challenge now is twofold. First, navigating these totally new gatekeepers, the AIs themselves. And second, identifying these little friction points that are quietly eating away at conversions. We have to look beyond the obvious metrics and see where the customer journey is actually going now.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting right at the foundation, search. Does classic SEO still matter?
It's the big question. And the answer is yes, but it's really only half the battle now.
Only half. So what's the other half?
The new challenge isn't just ranking on Google. It's achieving what you could call functional visibility inside generative AI.
Okay, you have to explain that. LLM visibility.
Exactly. LLM, large language model, the engines behind ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of them. If your customers are asking AI, hey, what's the best charger for a long flight? Or find me a sustainable running shoe, your brand has to be mentioned in that AI summary.
It's no longer optional.
Not at all. It's a whole new search result.
So if AI is kind of eating that part of the journey, how are the big commerce platforms adapting to capture sales in these new conversational spaces?
That's where the innovation is moving so fast. Take Shopify. They just rolled out something called agentic storefronts.
That sounds very technical.
It does, but the concept is brilliant. It's basically a feature that lets even small merchants feed their structured product and inventory data directly into platforms like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot.
Which means what for the user?
It means their product catalog is no longer just a static list. It becomes an active conversational sales agent. So a customer can chat with the AI, refine what they want, and basically complete the whole discovery process right there in the chat.
Without ever even visiting the store's website.
Right. Not until maybe the final checkout. It completely changes the sales funnel.
That brings up a huge technical question, though, especially around Google Gemini. How is it grounding its answers? Are we seeing any proof that all that structured data the schema brands have been working on is actually being used?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question right now. Experts are trying to figure out if Gemini prioritizes that explicit schema or if it's just, reading hidden page content to fact-check itself.
And the tests have been what?
Inconclusive so far, because usually the page text mirrors the schema. To really prove it, you'd need to make the schema text very different from the page text and see which one the AI picks.
So the takeaway for founders is pretty clear. Make sure your structured data is clean and explicit. Don't leave it to chance.
Precisely. If ranking is getting harder and more opaque, then brand trust and pure attention become that much more vital.
Which brings us nicely to where that attention actually lives, especially on social media.
Exactly.
We saw some fascinating data from X, formerly Twitter. Their analysis of conversations from 2025 centered heavily on entertainment and sports.
Not politics.
Not politics,
Yeah.
despite what you might think from the headlines. The biggest category was sports, things like the Premier League. And then pop culture hits like Stranger Things were driving all the TV discussion.
And that tells us where audience attention is at a massive scale. People want connection, escape, entertainment.
Right. So the challenge for brands is how to actually capture that interest effectively.
Well, a huge meta-study found that you really need to match your campaign objectives to your creative types. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, break that down for us. What are the big takeaways? What works and for who?
So think about the audience's awareness level. For people who have no idea who you are, simple reach objectives work best. Just get the name out there.
Makes sense.
If they already know you, then you focus on ad recall and through play. But here's the really big finding. Focusing your objective on traffic goals that lifted purchase intent by 8%.
Wait, 8%? That's huge compared to the average.
It's massive. The average lift across other objectives was only 4.2% and nearly doubled.
So why? What's the mechanism there? Why does a traffic goal do so much better?
The thinking is that if a user is compelled enough to actually click and leave the platform to visit your site, Their intent is already super high. That action just solidifies the desire to buy. You're catching them deeper in the funnel.
You're leveraging active curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the ads themselves? The whole high polish versus that raw, native, shot on a phone look.
It really depends on your goal. The high-fidelity, polished creatives, they drive the biggest awareness lifts. We're talking 8% and 7.5% lift. They look expensive. They feel legit.
And the lo-fi stuff.
The low-fidelity, native content, the stuff that looks like it could be from a friend's story, is way stronger for boosting intent. It gets about a 6% lift because it feels more authentic.
And what about frequency? Because as a founder, my instinct is just to flood the zone. More is better, right?
It feels like it should be, but the data suggests we need to be more thoughtful. Memory improves most when people see only 2 ads every 7 days.
Only 2.
2. That seems to be the sweet spot for long-term brand growth without just annoying people. If you want to scale aggressively, you have to square that with your short-term revenue goals.
So how do you do that? How do you square it?
By focusing on quality over volume. If you keep the frequency low, every single impression has to count. It forces you to make sure those 2 weekly ads are the best, most memorable creative you can possibly produce.
And frankly, maybe make them funnier.
Yes! Advertising needs to reclaim its funny bone. Humor connects emotionally. It makes the message stick. I mean, think about those classic Old Spice campaigns.
Your man could smell like.
Yeah.
Total game changer.
It was absurd, memorable, and it just became part of the culture. You have to entertain your customer, not just interrupt them.
And that focus on brand is critical because the economics of ignoring it are just brutal.
So brutal. The data shows that cutting just $1 in brand spend now means you have to spend about $1.92 later just to get back to where you were.
Wow.
Brand is your economic insurance. Look at Grammarly rebranding to Superhuman. That wasn't just a logo change. It was signaling a strategic leap from just a writing tool to an AI-native productivity suite.
But before we get into the hyper-growth stuff, we have to talk about fixing the quiet failures. This is where most founders are losing money without even knowing it.
Absolutely. And let's start with a genuinely shocking number. 73% of e-commerce emails are functionally broken or inaccessible.
73%. How is that even possible with all the sophisticated platforms we have now?
It's mostly down to accessibility failures, specifically a lack of discernible link text. Instead of saying, click here for a new collection, the link just says, click here.
And for a screen reader user,
They just hear, click here, click here, click here, over and over. They have to guess. It's frustrating, and they just abandon the cart.
and this isn't some tiny niche audience we're talking about.
Not at all. This affects a huge audience.
Yeah.
Nearly half the population, 46% of people, have at least one disability by the time they're 60.
So simple fixes like clear link text and good ALT text aren't just for compliance.
No, it's a crucial conversion lever. Founders need to build accessibility checks into their QA process.
That's a huge lesson. Okay, moving over to paid media. Google Ads. Why do so many campaigns just sort of fail quietly? Not with a big bang, but a slow decline.
It's almost always over-segmentation. Campaigns are split way too much by audience, by device, by product.
So founders are trying to be too granular, and it backfires.
Exactly. It creates 2 huge problems. First, your budget is spread too thin. And second, you get low conversion volume in each little segment, which starves Google's smart bidding algorithms of the data they need to actually learn and optimize.
You're not giving the machine enough to work with.
Precisely. The data was so clear. You need to consolidate based on actual spend and intent. Give the algorithm enough data and budget in one place, and it will find those pockets of profitability for you.
And for local businesses, what about Google Maps? Rankings can drop, and it's so frustrating. What's the usual culprit there?
It's often a mix of things, but the first places to check are outdated categories, low review activity, and a really weird one. Your physical pin location falling just outside the official city boundaries in Google's system.
Really? That can penalize you.
Disproportionately in local searches, yeah. And strategically, founders have to make sure their teams are using UTM parameters in GA4 to properly track traffic from their Google business profile. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
And on top of that visibility issue, there's a trust issue. Google is removing reviews at record levels.
That's right. It's due to automated moderation, mostly going after incentivized reviews. But it affects both positive and negative feedback, which can really distort what customers see. You have to be proactively monitoring your reviews now.
Okay, let's shift gears from fixing problems to creating massive success. Let's look at hypergrowth. A company called Lovable hit a $6.6 billion valuation in just 13 months.
An astonishing number.
So what was their formula? What were the key levers they pulled to do that?
It wasn't one silver bullet. It was relentless execution on four things. First, they treated shipping velocity, the speed of releasing new features, as the absolute top priority.
Speed over breadth.
Yes. Second, they built in public, they shared roadmaps, they shared challenges. That created incredible trust with their early adopters.
And that build-in public strategy, how did that translate into their funnel?
It turned their community into their core growth engine. Social buzz and word of mouth became more powerful than search or paid ads.
So they got earned media from day one.
Passionate advocacy. And finally, they used a really aggressive freemium model. They gave away the core utility for free to drive massive usage and let people experience the value before they ever had to pay.
And if community is king, then targeted PR is still the key to getting your story told. But the data shows over half of all journalists rarely get a relevant pitch.
That's just an insane amount of wasted effort. It's because of that spray and pray tactic.
So the answer is precision.
Maximum precision. Before you ever pitch, you need a checklist. Does this fit their topic? What have they written recently? What format do they prefer? And critically, do they even link out to brands? Doing that homework dramatically improves your hit rate.
Let's wrap up with a few quick platform updates that founders need to know about right now. I hear Instagram is finally cracking down on hashtag stuffing.
Correct. They're now officially limiting users to 5 hashtags per post. It's designed to stop people from spamming captions with 30 irrelevant tags, which is hurting performance anyway.
And YouTube is not standing still on the AI front.
Not at all. They're rolling out voice replies to millions of creators. They're expanding AI tools for image creation, auto-dubbing, and this one's huge AI-powered comment summaries for creators with high-volume videos.
That's a massive time saver. And finally, what about TikTok? That cloud of uncertainty is gone.
For now, yes. The deal with the U.S. is done, creating stability for its 170 million U.S. users. That provides some much-needed certainty for brands and creators, though a lot of them already face huge income anxiety over the past year.
Okay, so to pull this all together.
I think the immediate future of marketing is really defined by a few things. Embracing AI visibility as a new frontier, prioritizing high-quality, entertaining creative, and just ruthlessly ensuring your foundations are robust and accessible, from email to your local maps.
Absolutely. You now have all the pieces of the puzzle to refine your strategy. We've been through LLMs, ad frequency, broken emails, hypergrowth. I hope this discussion right here on The Vocal Technologist gives you the clarity to make those tough decisions.
And my ending thought for you to ponder this week is about the implications of age-gating the future. As countries like Australia move to ban users under 16 from social media and enforce strict digital identity checks, the internet is at risk of splitting into 2 tiers, one for verifiable adults and one for everyone else. Think about how that increasing friction and the drive for verifiable identity will change product design and how we all interact with digital services depending on our age and where we live.
Spoken Tech for your ears.